Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're listening to KnightCast, the Nightwing and One audio podcast that happens monthly now? I don't know. We got a lot of great topics for you, including 2 controversial ones. What are they? Well, you'll have to listen to find out. We got a great show for you guys, and you need to stay tuned. What's happening, listeners? I'm K-Wing, and what kind of a world do we live in where Batman's beliefs make it into the news? I mean, so if you've been living under a rock and you're trying to figure out why the heck is this news, I don't know. More or less, Batman has always been an atheist. He came out as an atheist in issue 53 of Batman while on jury duty, conversing with a Christian, saying that he doesn't believe in God, he believes in Batman, who is like a god, which Batman is flesh and blood character that jumps off rooftops and can be shot and killed easily. But, you know, Bruce is going through a really tough time right now. He's retired his other current Batsuit, which was pretty cool. It had, like, the yellow thing around his bat and had the purple cape, you know, from his 0 year stuff. But he's going back to his Hush uniform, which is now continuity or something, canon, I don't know. So anyway, all the news companies, which are personally going sensationalist crazy with this, like, it's running all over the place. Ha, see? The coolest superhero ever is an atheist. So all of you other deluded people that believe in a higher power, you're stupid. You read some of these articles, I mean, they are mean. People just can't be respectful of one another and, you know, tolerate differences that people have. Not, you know, all people are the same. They believe and think different things. But anyway, this is news. Batman is atheist. Although the funny thing is, I'm going to educate you guys. Batman's always been an atheist. As far back as I can remember. His dad, Protestant, mom, Catholic, Bruce, angry atheist. Why is he angry? Because his parents were killed in front of him. And what kind of a god would allow his parents to be killed in such a brutal way like that? Even though their deaths did lead to Bruce saving thousands and thousands of people, along with people he never even met across the galaxy when he did stuff with the Justice League. So one could say, from a religious point of view, that God basically used some tragic events to push Bruce to higher heights for events later in his life that he didn't even know about or even thought he could achieve. But we're not going to get into all that ideology stuff. That'll just make your head spin. So what you need to know is Bruce is angry at God, doesn't believe in God, doesn't make fun of Christians. He's still mostly polite in the DC Rebirth era. Nothing like he was in Breed 52. I remember a point in a comic book where Clark, who was a Methodist, way back in the day, be 90s, 2000s, Hush era, and he and Bruce were talking about something. And I mean, this didn't make the news. It was just in a comic book. They were talking about religious stuff. I think somebody they knew died or was sick or, you know. Oh, I remember now. Superman died, came back to life, and Batman was asking him about what it was like. And Superman basically witnessed to him, talking about heaven and all this other stuff. And Bruce was just kind of like, well, I don't believe in that stuff. I respect you. You're my best friend, but I can't believe that a world like that exists for people, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, he can't come to grips with it, and that's why he's an atheist. At one point, he used to be agnostic, where he didn't necessarily believe in something, but he was okay with the thought of something existing. But nowadays, it's like, I mean, he's just, you know, issue 53, doesn't believe in anything, really angry, really hurt. The woman he loved just stomped on his heart with her whip and claws and threw it in a trash can, and he's just kind of a broken man. And now he's going around wearing his underwear on his suit, retiring the really cool Batman costume that was actually pretty decent. I kind of like that one. It wasn't as good as the Batman INC suit, but it was still pretty good. So yeah, there you go. That was the big story. which it didn't need to be a story. That's kind of stupid. Anyways, the next story that is even more controversial, whoa, this is crazy stuff, is, of course, Batwoman getting her own TV show before Batman. And fans on either side are ready to kill each other and rip each other's throats out. And it's like, oh my gosh, why? It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, what are my thoughts? Oh, dear God. I don't care. I really don't. I've never liked Batwoman. I didn't mind that she was killed in the 70s. And the only reason she's had lasting appeal being brought back to life as Kate Kane instead of Kathy is the fact that she's gay. I mean, that is the elephant in the room that no one is ever going to address. All her stories revolve around her sexuality. And you can challenge me, but I will beat you in this because I am the Batman expert. You do not know more than I. And I've never done a lore on Batwoman because it would be 10 minutes. Yeah, there are two stories that were really good, and the reason why, listener, they were really good is because they removed her sexuality from the equation. In the story arc, the two story arcs, Batwoman is not going around dating other women or cheating on other women or whatever else she does in her issues, talking about women, reminding the reader every 5 minutes that she's gay. No one cares. But in these two story arcs that were brilliantly written, guess what they did? You want to know what they did? I will tell you. They removed the aspect of, who she goes to bed with. In fact, they focused on her abilities as, get this, a crime fighter fighting crime. And the books were good. And then they tumbled back down to her being herself. But I will always say that those two story arcs were very good for Batwoman. What happens with the character these days is usually they will partner her up with Tim Drake and have her kind of like in a leadership role because she was in the army. She did a bunch of stuff. She makes a good sergeant. She was kind of the leader of Batman's group and did a really good job. She works very well as a side character, not a lead. So her getting her own show, kind of nerve-wracking, but I think I know how they're going to do it. They're going to take all of Bruce Wayne's really good stories and give them to her, like they did with Arrow. So that's how it's going to work. And because of the Bat Embargo, which, oh dear Lord, the Bat Embargo is the most horrible thing ever. And it only involves Batman. Just Batman. Although sometimes the Bat Embargo can extend to Superman and Wonder Woman. Why? I don't know. It's just useless. So the Bat Embargo goes all the way back to the 1960s TV show of Adam West when Warner Brothers and DC signed their soul to the devil himself, which was Fox, and gave all the television and film rights to Fox, which eventually they did win back the film rights in court or something. I forget how it happened, but in the 70s they got them back. It was crazy. And they started working on the Batman movie, which went through so many different versions, if you will. One with Bill Murray, one with Mel Gibson, and eventually the one with Keaton, which was good, but very Frank Miller, but whatever. So the film rights went to Warner Brothers and DC, but when they wanted to make their animated show, guess where that animated show debuted? Show of hands if you guys know this one. Where did Batman the Animated Series release in 1992? If you said Fox, you need to give yourself a high five, because guess what? Fox, for the longest time, had the television rights to the Batman character. I'm talking like Shatner. Why am I talking like Shatner? So, I mean, yeah, Bat Embargo. Eventually, they were able to wiggle away the cartoon rights because it wasn't technically live action. And that went over to Kids WB or the WB Network or whatever it was called, CW. I forget what it was back in the 90s. Help me out. But yeah, that's what happened. And eventually, because of that, you got Batman Beyond. And then Warner Brothers and DC moved their stuff over to Time Warner and like TBS and Cartoon Network and all that other stuff. And even when they tried to have Batman appear on TV for the Birds of Prey show, he really couldn't appear in TV. He did for like a brief 30 seconds, but they never say his name in the show. They call him him. They had Joker and Mark Hamill in it, but it was a body double with doing the Killing Joke thing, which actually was handled much better, that 30-second thing. And Batman disappeared, but the lead character is the daughter of Batman and Catwoman from like a Silver Age Elseworld story. And that show was terrible. Don't watch it, please. But yeah, that was the Bat Embargo. And even sometimes the cartoon show will hold up the Bat Embargo like, no, you can't use this character because they might appear in the film. That is also why the Riddler and Two-Face were prominent in later seasons of Batman the Animated Series, but also why they were plucked out of later episodes of Batman the Animated Series. And Catwoman and Penguin were more rampant along with the Joker because they were not in the films at the time. They were focusing on characters like Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. This is why all the characters, if you go back and watch the animated series, you saw dramatic exits for Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and did I say the Riddler? I can't remember. So there were 4 characters, and they disappeared because they were being used in films, so they couldn't appear on TV because logic. So just like the CW Supergirl show, I theorize that there's going to be a lot of references, sort of, to Batman, like there were to Superman, and eventually Superman does show up and steals the show, but then they had to put the focus on the Supergirl character, so they'll do the same thing. Either Batman will show up, or he'll be retired or dead, and all the really good stories, like, I think Court of Owls would work really well, but I don't think that's happening because that's going to be Matt Reeves' movie, and if that's even on the storyboards for a Batman movie, then that can't be used on TV. But don't worry, Batwoman will get some cool stories. I don't need to worry about that. Okay. Now, on to the... Is this considered a controversial topic as well? The Batman wedding. Oof. You know, I really thought about reviewing this comic when it came out and then ripping it apart, but it has so much good art. Like, this is a celebration of so many different versions of Batman and Catwoman for the past 79 years. And the art is really good. The storyline is bumpkiss, but the art is really good. This has so many great artists that are still alive doing Batman stuff again. It's great. I would just have that book, in my personal collection, but I just have everything digital. So I read it. I saw the twist coming where she leaves him at the altar, and that this is basically a retelling of Chuck Dixon's Nightfall. Also why Dick Grayson is coming into the picture to take over for Batman later. This is like an emotional break for Batman. More or less, they're taking Chuck Dixon's brilliance and sullying it even more. So Bane comes back and hurts Batman's feelings. Yes, this is the writing of 2018, folks. I'm serious. So in the 90s, Bane broke the Bat in a horrific way, weakened him and had him running all over the place for half a year, collecting all his rogues that had busted out of prison to the point of exhaustion, broke into his house, trolled the crap out of him, and then broke him over his knee because Batman could not fight back. He was weak. He was at his limit. And so what do they do in 2018? They hurt Batman's feelings. They rip his heart out emotional, because emotional pain is worse than physical pain and exhaustion and mental destability or whatever. It was just dumb. But that's what they're doing. They're redoing Nightfall. Catwoman is going to have her own book. It's probably going to be better than the Batman books. Batman is just kind of running around like, oh, she hurt me, Alfred. I can't even wear my bat suit because my bat suit, it was the suit I had on when we were together. It's like, oh my gosh, when did Batman become so emo? I mean, more emo. Now he's like whiny little teenager who just had he was dumped at prom or something. It's pathetic. I mean, this is a man. This is Batman. It should be called Batchild. Also explains why Nightwing later comes in and is Batman again. It's like, yay! So, I mean, the reason why he's in the trunks, if you didn't know it, it's because Catwoman dumped him. Although she didn't dump him because deep down she really loves him. But if she stays with Batman, then he can't be Batman anymore because he'd be happy. Which this whole thing was explored during Mask of the Phantasm, which is a fantastic movie. It's the best Batman movie ever made. You can fight me on that, like debate-wise, not physically. You know, we should all be non-violent, peaceful-like. You know what I mean? Okay. So, yeah, that's what happened with that. Oh my gosh. I just, the big controversy surrounding that is everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's like this was leaked. It's like, come on, you knew DC. You knew Dido wasn't going to let Batman be happy. If Batman's going to be happy, he can't be Batman. Although I really thought they could pull this off. And the reason why I was thinking this is because the brilliance of Morrison bringing in Damian, even though, yeah, I hated Damian first. A lot of you hated Damian at first. Damian took some time to grow as a character, and, you know, as a kid, he was a really intense, whatchamacallit, assassin, you know? He was the grandson of the demon, for crying out loud. He didn't really have a normal childhood. He was raised by ninjas, so he's going to have some problems. You know what I mean? That's a given. So to see him grow up and to actually have him in Batman's life, you could argue that was actually letting Batman be happy. You were letting Batman have more of an established family, which is a good thing, you know? So I thought that with DC's brilliance in the writing aspect, because they've been killing it with comics since DC Rebirth, they've done a fantastic job of pulling themselves out of the ground and, you know, kicking some butt. And then they go and do something like this. And, you know, I don't know. It's embarrassing and sad as a DC fan personally, because, I mean, a talented writer could actually have done a story where Batman and Bruce Wayne being happy and the Dark Knight could coexist. So it's kind of a shame that we haven't seen that. Maybe in another 60 years, who knows? Maybe when I'm like 70 or something, I will ask DC to write something, because they won't hire me right now because of my political beliefs. But anyway, some exciting comic book news that I'm very excited about, and you guys need to read Batgirl number 25 along with the Nightwing books targeting the, what was it called? They're like cyber people in it, and he's working with Batgirl, and he realizes, you know, the dark web, that's it, the dark web cult or whatever. All this technology in Bloodhaven. It's a great read. It's a cool story arc. And in it, you can kind of see Babs and Nightwing's relationship. And then that explodes even more in Batgirl 25, where they officially become a couple. Now, I don't want to spoil anything other than that, which I don't care. That's kind of awesome. But the comic is definitely worth a read. It's great. If you're a Barbara Gordon fan and a Nightwing fan, not just the characters being a couple, but just like their thoughts about like the future and just who they are as characters. It's a great read. It goes back to kind of the Chuck Dixon Nightwing and the Gal Simone Oracle stuff. So, I mean, it's a really good read. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I would say go to Comixology and just read it, you know. But, I mean, the dark web stuff was kind of stupid, but it's got fun banter, and it's Nightwing Batgirl team up. What's not to love about that? You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. I don't even want to read my Twitter after this. This is the end of my channel. It's so funny that everyone else on one side can have their point of view, but as soon as someone else not even challenges that, but just says their opinion, then everyone hates them. And it doesn't matter if you're the voice of reason or you have common sense. You are evil, and everyone hates you, and it's just crazy. But some exciting stuff to talk about is Batman Hush, the animated movie, which is pretty exciting. And I'm excited about this. The Batman Hush stuff by Jim Lee was really good. It had great detective elements. It had good like superhero team up stuff, great Bat Family stuff. In fact, I don't think you can do Hush without Tim Drake. So I really hope that we get some Tim Drake stuff in this movie, because without him, it just wouldn't be Hush. Like, he had a very big role in it. But it'll probably just be Nightwing and Damian, as they are the established Robins. It's been so long since I read that book, but I know it's a great book. It's got some cool stuff with Poison Ivy in it. It's got stuff with Ra's al Ghul and the Joker and Superman and the Robins and Oracle / Batgirl. It's a really great thing to see come to life animated, and I hope they have a really great team working on it. The Superman Death movie was actually pretty good for a New 52 film, so I'm hoping that Batman Hush will continue that. I did some digging on the DC Universe app. Found out it's $7.99 a month, or you could pay the annual of $74.99. It will have pretty much every DC Universe cartoon, movie, and live action film, and live action TV shows. Except, I think, the Adam West show. I don't think they could swing that. Swing. 60s. So, I mean, you guys probably going to hate me, but I actually bought the annual. I want to be one of the people day one to look at this thing and tell you guys if it's worth your time or not. But just for all the TV shows, for just $7.99 and the movies, I mean, wow, that's pretty awesome. It has everything just about. The comics are a little, I don't know. They're not going to have every single comic that you want to read that isn't on Comixology or whatever already. They're going to have selected arcs that they want people to be familiar with. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of popular stuff, a lot of things that they want to push. So you'll probably see some of that Vertigo crud on there. But the TV shows that they have, they look pretty interesting. I mean, Titans, it's going to be super edgy, but Doom Patrol looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. Though I've heard some things about Doom Patrol, which I'm a little concerned about. It also is going to be edgy. The actor for Cyborg, who originally auditioned, was dropping a lot of F-bombs in his audition. So, and it wasn't for Titans, it was for Doom Patrol. So take that with what you will. Now, the part of the show that you guys all like to hear, now that we've talked about all things Batman, is the video game aspect. I've found out that Batman the Enemy Within is coming to the Nintendo Switch this fall. I do not have an official release date. I have been talking to Telltales because they want me to look at it again. And I know you guys want me to stream it again. So that's probably going to happen. Although I'm going to be doing more of the probably Wimpy Bat version, because I don't know, I already did the, dark stuff, and I just kind of want to have fun with it, or like the non-answers, see, because you know how it's going to end up. And of course, what I'm playing currently is Spider-Man 2000, which is the N64 and PlayStation game. Came out 18 years ago, my gosh. I had a lot of fun playing it. Amber and I finished the series. It's over on our Let's Play channel if you want to check it out. It was the first 3D Spider-Man game. It featured a Batman actor later in his life, Rino Romano, who played Batman in the 2004 cartoon that ran through 2008 during the time of Christian Bale's tenure as the Bat. And it was more of a kung fu Batman than detective-driven. But, I mean, the animation was solid. The cartoon wasn't bad. It's nowhere in the animated series, class, like in terms of scale or whatever. But it's not a horrible show. It does some good things. It has some great episodes. Artifact is fantastic. A future Batman story with Nightwing, Oracle, and a kind of Dark Knight Returns Batman. And if you think that Reno is not good as the Bat, watch Artifacts. Artifacts is fantastic. So anyway, later in his life, he played Batman. But the first superhero he did was Spidey, and he is a fantastic Spider-Man. Now, Daniel Barnes, who did Spider-Man in the animated series, did not reprise his role for the video game. And that's because there was a new cartoon called Spider-Man Unlimited, which was Spider-Man going to space in this animal universe. It was a Fox Saban show. It was really weird. Did not go past the first season. But Reno was the voice actor of Spider-Man at the time, so he got the job, of course, to do the video games. And he did a bunch of video games. He did Spider-Man on the N64, PlayStation, and Dreamcast. And then he went on to do Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro, for the PlayStation. He cameoed in two other Marvel games. X-Men Mutant Academy 2, with Spider-Man being a hidden character, I believe. And also he did the voice for the cameo in X-Men 2, Wolverine's Revenge, with Mark Hamill. He kind of appears in a cutscene, which is, you know, establishing that that actor was Spider-Man. So Marvel was always really good at keeping their actors consistent in the different games, so I respect them for that. But he was a good Spider-Man. I really like him. So the game is pretty decent. I mean, it's 18 years ago. It's got some issues, but we had a lot of fun playing it, and it spurred me on to play another linear Spider-Man game, Spider-Man 2002, starring Tobey Maguire, which is essentially the same game, just with a fancier coat of paint for the GameCube and PS2 era. And we'll be doing that shortly. So the other game that I'm having a lot of fun with is Octopath Traveler, which is an amazing game and getting really poor reception on my channel and throughout YouTube, which is a shame because it is an amazing JRPG. Yes, the characters all have individual stories until you get to one part in the game that I want to spoil so bad because it's just so awesome. But I'm not going to. The game is a grind. It's like 60 to 100 hours, so if you guys remember the original Final Fantasy games, yeah, this game's kind of like that. But it's still so good. The music's great, the voice acting is great, the story is great. The grinding, not so great, but it's still fun. And it is my favorite Switch game of the summer. Until Blade Strangers and Messenger comes out, which is later this month, and I'm so excited about that. It's gonna be amazing. Oh my gosh, and I'm playing Monster Hunter Generations on the Switch. But I love Monster Hunter. I've loved Monster Hunter for years. I've been a big supporter on it for Nintendo. The Switch version is awesome. I love playing it docked. I love playing it in the palm of my hand. It's not quite the same scale as Monster Hunter World on the PS4, which was brilliant. I love that game. It changed things. It made things better, but also made things really bad with all the stupid wandering around looking for monsters so you can just progress the stupid story, for crying out loud. So it took some elements from Generations and other things that didn't work, and then it added new elements that just made people fall asleep literally running around looking for clues for where a certain monster is or isn't. I mean, that was stupid. They had a great thing going, and then they ruined it. Sorry. Fans are always critical. You have to view fans of comic books and movies and video games of their favorite companies as sports fans with their teams. They're super critical because they want them to succeed, but they will tell them to their face when they are sucking at the plate and striking out and not stealing that base and not doing that all stuff because they love them so much that they just expect better of them. But if you love Monster Hunter, I am telling you this right now, that it's a lot of fun. I have played a little more into getting back to where I was, kind of, and playing it in the palm of your hand. I mean, it just looks great. It's really good. It looks so much better than the 3DS version, and the 3DS version was my favorite Monster Hunter till Monster Hunter World. So, I mean, I'm kind of conflicted. I love elements of Monster Hunter World, but I like things about Monster Hunter Generations better. So I can't really decide which one I like better. So Switch owners are going to be wicked happy about that. And another great game coming to the Switch that I got to play was the beta for the Dragon Ball FighterZ, which was really good. And since I've been playing the PlayStation version since December, because I was a beta tester, and then I was in the open beta, and then the closed beta, or whatever, I've been playing that game so much, I couldn't really tell the difference between the gameplay and the visuals when I was playing on the Switch, either docked or in the palm of my hand. I had to really critique the visuals and the detail to see the difference between Goku on the PS4 and Goku on the Switch. And it's minuscule. Like, you really have to be like one of those, well, you can see by just this tiny margin that the PS4 is a little bit brighter and it has like a little bit more of this. I mean, they did a great job. Arc System Works is amazing at fighting games, and bringing this port over to the Switch for later this fall, I mean, you guys are not going to be disappointed if you're Switch owners and you've waited. But yeah, that is going to more or less wrap up today's Knightcast. But anyway, I want to know what content you guys want to see on this channel. I am slowly getting used to Amber's schedule of going to culinary school and going to work locally to pay for groceries for us, because things are a struggle right now. But I'm not going to ask you guys for money. I've never felt comfortable with doing that kind of stuff, and I feel bad that we had to launch that Patreon thing. I appreciate the supporters, but I don't know how to be that person to be like, hey, we're in trouble, we need help. I felt like my parents raised me to be a fighter and do the best I can. Like, I'm still releasing content, like 4 videos a day over on the Let's Play channel, which comes out to about 120 videos a month if you think about it. So I'm still very happy with my income that I have over there. And this channel, I come on every once in a while to just tell you guys I'm still alive and I haven't abandoned anybody. But, you know, if YouTube wasn't the way it was, I don't think I ever would have released that Patreon thing. But I was really happy to do those movie commentaries, and we have a great one coming for you guys later. Announcement about Spider-Man. A lot of you have brought up some concerns about the stuff that's in the Spider-Man game. What you're expressing is a T-rated game. And it's going to still go over on the Let's Play channel. The Let's Play channel, I want to be clear and concise about this. The Let's Play channel is the Marvel fans. You guys over here, a majority of you are DC and Batman fans. I would say more than half of you are. And I don't want to stir the pot by releasing a Marvel game over here, because this is a place where DC fans can come hang out, learn stuff about DC stuff, like Tom Cruise as Green Lantern. Oh dear. Why? I don't know. This is a safe haven for DC people, you know, DC Comics, Warner Brothers people. And our audience on the Let's Play channel has dwarfed this one, I will be honest, and they are huge Marvel fans, so they like Marvel things more, mostly Spider-Man. So it makes sense to give the people what they want. They want Spider-Man over there. We're doing Spider-Man. We did Spider-Man 2000. We're doing Spider-Man 2002, and then I think that will be it until Spider-Man on the 7th of September. And then I'm going to milk that game for all it's worth, showing all the costumes and talking about spider lore and whatever else I feel like. Because, you know, I really did like Spidey in the 80s and 90s. Heck, I grew up with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Loved that show. I watched the Spider-Man 80s show, the Spider-Man 90s show, the Spider-Man team-ups in the 90s, the Spider-Man video games, Spider-Man comic books. It wasn't until Spider-Man sold his soul to the devil in one of the stupidest things ever that I stopped being a Spidey fan, because it was just like, they don't know how to write Spider-Man anymore. I went off on a tangent. Tell me what kind of content you guys want to see. I have a bunch of videos I have to edit still, my gosh. So hopefully you guys won't mind this bare bones thing. Please be respectful of one another. I might have to add a disclosure in the comments and the description, because I am fearful of people acting like idiots and hurting one another. At the end of the day, remember, we're all comic fans, we're all gamers, and we're all people, you know? Respect each other's differences, love one another, treat each other well, and make friends, you know? Don't make enemies. Life is too short. I just want to thank you all for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy Knightcast. Next time, we will be talking more in depth about the Matt Reeves movie, with, of course, you know, Affleck on board, doing something other than producer, maybe, and possibly the Court of Owls connection and other cool things that I can't wait to tell you guys. Oh my gosh. Along with a very special guest interview on a gentleman who helped work on the legacy of Batman, Nightwing, and the Justice League. And he's pretty awesome, and I'm very honored to have him be my first official industry interview in my podcast. So, you guys have a great one. I hope you have a fantastic day, every single one of you, and thank you for listening to Knightcast here on Nightwing 01.